building this picnic table, let's start by creating the tabletop. Let's go to File, New. This one will be in English, standard inches.ipt. Create. The tabletop is made of 2x6s. So, in reality, a 2x6 is only 1.5 by 5.5 inches. So we're going to go ahead and type in 5.5. And then for the height, it's going to be 1.5 inches for the tabletop. These boards, each one of these boards is 6 feet long. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to type in 6 and then the symbol for feet. Okay. Let's go ahead and change this to wood. In this case, let's go ahead and see this pick, red oak. It doesn't really matter which material you use. I decided to go with red oak. Now we have completed our board for our tabletop. Let's go ahead and create a new board for the baton. So we're going to go ahead and go to standard.ipt. Let's go start a 2D sketch. This one will be on the horizontal plane and on the vertical plane. This baton will be, baton's going to be 28.5 inches. 28.5 inches. And then the height of this one will be 3.5 because it's made out of 2x4s. And then 2x4s are actually 1.5 inch by 3.5 inches. So there's 3.5 inches by 28.5 inches. I'm going to extrude this 1.5. We're going to create a sketch on this plane here. And we're going to cut 2 inches off each side. So we're going to go over here 2 inches. And we're going to get a triangle. Now we're going to go over here, same thing. Go to line. Go over 2 inches. Close the shape. And then I'm going to extrude cut this right here and this right here. There we go. It's okay. We are done with the baton. We're now going to create the legs. Go to File, New, one more time, standard inches. We're going to create the leg out of 2x6s, so this will be 1.5 inches by 5.5 inches. So 1.5 by 5.5 inches. Enter. And these legs are going to be 3 feet long. That's going to be the length of these legs. Let's go ahead and extrude this 3 feet. So 3. And then the symbol for feet is that right there. There's 3 feet. Okay. We're now going to start a sketch right here on this plane here. And we're going to make 2 30-degree cuts in the same direction. So this will end up looking like a parallelogram. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to start from this corner and we're going to end on this line. Do the same thing for this other side here. So we're going to start right here and on this line, and then we are going to dimension from here to here will be 30 degrees, and then from here to here will be 30 degrees as well. Let's go ahead and close all these regions here so that we can extrude cut. So make sure you close them. Okay, we can finish sketch and we can extrude cut these regions here. Oops. Extrude cut that and that and that. Make sure it's a cut. Notice how they're both facing the same direction. Where the baton, they were facing mirror images of each other. Let's go ahead and now create the next part. Let's see, the next part is going to be seat support. Okay, so the seat support also made out of 2x6s, so let's go ahead and do that. So file, new, once more, just get your inches. We said 2x6s. We're going to start with a rectangle that is 1.5 by 5.5. And then 1.5. Okay, and then these seat supports are going to be 5 feet long. Sketch, extrude, 5 feet. Okay. Press OK. We're going to start a sketch over here on this plane over here. And we're going to cut 30-degree angles again, but in this case, they're going to be mirror images of each other. So click on this, create the angle of 30 degrees. Make sure you close the region. Go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. In this case, we're going to start from here. We're going to go down this direction. Again, make sure it's 30 degrees. So dimension from this line to this line, 30 degrees. Finish sketch. We're going to extrude cut these pieces here. Okay. And these are our seat supports. We're now going to create the brace. The brace is made out of 2x4s. So let's go ahead and do that. So once again, we start here, we go make a rectangle. In this case, it is going to be 2x4, so it's going to be 3.5 by 1.5 for the brace. Okay. We're going to extrude this brace a distance of 2 feet 10 1/8 of an inch. So we're going to go ahead and do that by doing 2 feet 10 space and 1/8 inches. There we go. Click OK. And then for the brace, we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut some angled cuts as well, but these are going to be at 24 degrees. So let's go ahead and go to line. I'm going to create a little triangle here. I'm going to dimension from here to here. It's going to be 24 degrees. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. In this case, we're going to go ahead and do at the same angle. So it's got like a parallelogram. Okay, same thing, to 24 degrees. From this line here to this line here. And then we're going to finish sketch. And we're going to extrude both these sections off. Okay. And then there's going to be one more thing we're going to do with this brace here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do a little cut here on this section only. We're going to start from here. And we are going to cut over 13/16 of an inch. And then we're going to go over here to this other section here. So it's going to make a line from this corner over down along this edge here. And that's going to be 5/16 of an inch. Enter. And we're going to go ahead and make sure these two meet up right here. And we are going to finish the sketch. But first, let me go ahead and move this out of the way so you guys can see where this 5/16 is coming from. So 5/16 this section here and 13/16 over here. And we're going to cut off that little triangle. So extrude cut all the way through. And we have that little piece cut off right there. Now we have to create a seat and a cleat. So we have two more pieces to go. Let's go ahead and go to File, New, create a seat. The seat is also going to be out of 2x6s. So we're going to go across 5.5 inches and we're going to go up 1.5 inches. I'm going to finish sketch, and the seat is going to be 6 feet long. Oops, not revolve. Extrude. 6 feet long, 6 feet. Enter. Okay, and then we can go ahead and create the cleat. So File, New, 10 inches. And the cleat's going to be created using 2x4s. So it's going to be 3.5 by 1.5 inches. And the cleat is going to be 11 1/4 of an inch. So 11.25. And for this one, we're going to make angled cuts as well. But on this one, we are going to make them on the shorter side here, on the side that's 1.5 inches. We're going to do that by creating another little triangle one more time. We're going to dimension from here to here. Make sure it's 30 degrees. And then we're going to do the same thing for the other side. In this case, they're going to be mirror images. So from here to here. And then we're going to dimension, make sure they're 30 degrees. And we're going to close the triangle so we can do an extrude cut. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and close the other side as well. Now that we have this region fully closed, let's go ahead and extrude cut. Extrude cut right here, and this one right here as well. Click OK, and then here we go. We have all our parts. We're going to go ahead and save these, label them properly. All right, now that we have all these pieces built and labeled properly, let's go ahead and open up an assembly by going to File, New, English, Assembly, IAM. Create. Let's go ahead and start by placing the tabletop. We need 5 of these, so let's go ahead and bring in 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. And the very first thing we need to do in order to create an assembly is ground one of these pieces. It doesn't matter which one, just go ahead and pick whichever one you want. I'm going to go ahead and click on this one and ground. This is going to allow us to have a foundation to build everything else around that one. First thing I need to do is go ahead and I need to constrain right here. I'm going to line up this guy right here to this guy right here. I'm going to make a little noise. Apply, and I always like to wiggle it around to make sure that things are working properly. So see now how this side needs to be constrained as well. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's constrain this other side, that top edge to this edge right here. Apply. And then let me go ahead and move it out. So everything's constrained, but you see how it still goes in and out we need to go ahead and constrain that as well. We're going to leave a little gap of 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to click on this little phase right there. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rotate my assembly, and I'm going to click on this other phase right here, and I'm going to offset 0.25 inches. And if I look at it from the top view, you're going to notice there's a little gap there now of 0.25. Apply. I always like to move them. Notice how it does not move anymore. That's how we build it correctly. These are still moving. Let's go ahead and repeat the same process a couple more times. So constraint, I'm going to start in this case with the faces. It's the same thing. I'm just reversing the order in which I'm doing these constraints. It should not affect my final assembly. So there you go, 0.25 is my offset. I'm then going to align this edge with this edge, apply, align this edge right here with this other edge right there, apply. Once again, try to move it. It does not move. We did it correctly. Constrain again. Oops. Constraint. Face to face. .25 offset. Let's go ahead and line up the edges. So there's that edge to this edge right here. Let's go ahead and do that for the other side. Apply that edge to that edge right there. Apply. And then do this face to this face. Offset 0.25. Apply. Edge to edge. Apply. And then the other side. Apply. And then notice that none of these pieces move anymore. So everything's fully constrained. Let's go ahead and now let's bring in our baton pieces. So let's place our baton pieces. We need 3 of these. So 1, 2, 3. Let's go ahead by starting to constrain the top of the baton piece's face right here to the bottom face of my tabletop right there. Apply. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and get this little edge lined up with the tabletop. So this little edge here lined up with this edge right there. Apply. Notice how this shape here slides forwards and backwards. I need to constrain that movement by going to constraint, exterior face, flush, and make an offset of 4 inches. Just like that. Apply. We're going to do the same thing with the other side. So we're going to click on the top of this baton here, bottom of this tabletop. In this case, notice how it flipped it because we have the flush turned on. Let's take the flush off. Apply. And let's do the little edges here. So this short edge of this baton over here to this edge of this tabletop. Apply. Once more, notice how the shape goes in and out. Let's go ahead and constrain that exterior face to exterior face. Flush 4 inches. Apply. And this baton here is going to be the same thing, pretty similar. The only difference is that it's going to be in the middle. So let's constrain top face to the bottom face here. Apply. So this edge to this edge right here. Apply. And now we're going to offset from this exterior edge to this exterior edge, and we're going to do 34.5. I lied. 36 inches, which is the middle, minus 0.75, which is half the thickness of the 2x4. And so let's go ahead and make sure we do a flush on this one. Let's see. Apply. Let's see, make sure it doesn't move. All right, and let's go ahead and just double check, make sure everything is working properly by measuring. So we're going to go to tools, and we're going to measure from this vertical line right here to this vertical line right here of this baton piece. Notice that that's 35.25. It should be the same for the other side. 35.25. Perfect, right in the middle. All right, next up, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring in the legs. Go into the legs. 44 of these. And the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and rotate these because they're laying down. So let's go ahead and rotate them in this direction right here. Once more, I'm going to go ahead and constrain the top of this leg to the bottom of this tabletop. In this case, I'm going to select this face right here. Apply. I'm going to line up this little edge to this edge right here of the second one. So notice that there's 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm lining up to the second one. And then apply, and then notice how it slides backwards and forwards. All I have to do now is constrain this face of the leg to this face of the baton right here. Apply, and then if I move it around, it no longer moves. Let's do the same thing for the other legs. Let's go ahead and rotate first. It's close enough. Constrain the top face to the other face over here on the side. And then apply. I'm going to do the little edge. Where's the little edge? Here. Constrain this short edge to this part of the tabletop, apply, and then one more constraint of this, of the face to the face. There we go, apply. Notice how it does not move anymore. All right. Free rotate again on this other leg here. Constraint. In this case, let me move it a little bit more. There you go. It doesn't have to be exact. Constraint this top of the leg to the bottom part of this tabletop. Apply. Notice how we're going to do this short edge here to this right there. Now we're going to constrain this to this. Apply. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for this last leg. Let's re-rotate this leg. Let's bring it down a little bit since it's over there. Alright, so constrain this leg here to this tabletop bottom part here. Apply. Let's go ahead and do this little short edge to that edge right there. Apply. And we're going to do this face to this face right here. Apply. And I always move things around, make sure nothing is moving. Everything's fully constrained. Alright, now we need the seat support and we need the seat. Let's go ahead and bring in the seat support first. So seat support, we need 2 of these seat supports. I'm going to rotate these right here a little bit so they can be aligned properly before we place them in there. So constraint, let's go ahead and place this face onto this face right here. Apply. Next, I'm going to click on this top face of this seat support, and I'm going to click on this bottom face of my leg. Notice how that straightens out my seat support. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and do a 16.5 inch offset from the bottom there, but it went the wrong direction. Let's go ahead and do the opposite. So do negative, apply. And then notice how I should just move left and right now. Nothing else, no other movement. We'll get that fixed here in a little bit. Let's go ahead and constrain the other side. So let's go ahead and do this face to this leg right here. Apply. Click on the top face. We're gonna constrain that to the bottom face here. But we're gonna go ahead and offset it 16.5 inches. Once again, it went the opposite direction. Let's do negative. Apply. apply. Okay, so same thing. If we move it around, it only moves left and right. So what we need to do now is we need to go ahead and create a couple of mid-planes. So I'm going to go back to my seat support over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to where it says mid-plane between two planes. I'm going to click on this little face here that's angled. And I'm going to click on this other angled face here. Notice how it creates a mid-plane right there in the middle. I'm going to do the same thing for my baton. I'm going to create a mid-plane between two planes. Click on this one here, and then click on this one here. Notice how that creates a mid-plane right there. So if I go back to my assembly, notice how now I have these two planes right here. I'm going to constrain these two planes together. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this plane. I want that plane to be aligned with this plane here. And then click apply. And then if I try to move it, notice how it doesn't move anymore. Now it's locked in the middle, which is what we want it to do. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. Constrain this plane here to this plane right here. Apply. Okay, so it's coming along together. We just need the seat and we need the braces. Let's go ahead and go to the seat now. So place the seats. Open. We need 4 of these. 3, 4, 2 on each side. So let's go ahead and start by clicking on the top of the seat support. It will be constrained to the bottom of the seats right here. So I'm going to apply. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on this long edge right here. It needs to be lined up with this little short edge of the seat support. Apply. And then notice again, it just moves left and right. So we're going to do the same thing we did for the tabletop. We are going to click on this plane here of the seat support. I'm going to click on this exterior plane of my seat. Flush. And we're going to type in 4 inches offset. Apply. We're going to do the same thing to the other one. Let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and click on the bottom of this seat. That needs to be lined up with the top of this seat support right here. Okay, make sure I don't have it flush. There we go. Apply. I'm then going to click on this face here. And click on this inner face here of this other seat. And I'm going to make sure that it is offset by 0.25 inches. There we go. So let's go ahead and click apply. And then notice how it just moves left and right. Now we got to go ahead and constrain that one more time. So let's go ahead and constrain. In this case, we can do this edge here, line up with this edge here. Make sure it doesn't move anymore. Perfect. And there's my seats for this side. As we'll see for the other side now. Same concept. Click on the face. Click on this face right here. Apply. Let's go ahead and click on this face. Click on this face. Let's go ahead and click flush in this case. 4 inches. Apply, and then I also need to click on this edge right here. So constrain this edge with this edge. Apply. Notice how if I try to move it, it doesn't move anymore, so I did it correctly. Constraint this bottom face to this top right here. Apply. Line up this edge with this edge. Apply. Move it out the way a little bit. This face interface with the other interface of this other one. 0.25 inches will be our offset. Apply. Okay, so it's looking good. It's taking shape. Let's go ahead and bring in our braces now. So place our braces for the bottom part of our tabletop. Bring in 2 of these. Let's see. Notice how there's going to be a little extra cut on these braces. So this little extra cut is going to go on the bottom of our tabletop, and then this one's going to be on our seat support. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's constrain this face right here. This face that has the little cut, that face will be attached to the middle batten like this. Press apply. Now what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and, where I told you about that little piece where the cut's at. So I'm going to constrain this part. You see how that's a flat part right there? I'm constrain this edge here to this edge right here, where the batten meets the tabletop, right there. Apply. Go back here. So the only movement that should happen now is that it moves left and right. So we'll address that here in a little bit. It's the same thing with the other side first. Let's go ahead and constrain this side here to the other side of the batten, right there. Apply. And let's rotate where there's a little piece there that's sticking out. So again, it's going to be not this one, but it's going to be this one, the one that's closest to the batten. We'll line that up to this edge. Oops, I hit that face in by accident. Constrain this to this edge. There you go, apply. So again, notice how the only thing that's happening now is it just moves left and right. So the same thing we did with these seat supports here, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing for this brace. We're going to go ahead and create a plane. So mid-plane between two planes. Click on this plane, click on the other plane, and create a mid-plane along this long edge right here. So let's go ahead and align those two planes now. So I'm going to click on this plane here, click on that plane there, and click flush, apply. Do the same thing for the other side. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on this plane here, click on this plane here, flush, there you go, and apply. There we go. Notice how it doesn't move anymore. And the last thing we need to add here is going to be the cleat that's going to go in the middle of my seat support here, in the middle of my seat, to give it additional support. So let's go to cleat, open. Let's go and bring in two of these. In this case, we're going to constrain the top of this to the bottom of my seat. Apply. I'm going to align the short edge to this long edge of my seat. Make sure it's the other way around. There you go. Apply. And then notice how all it does now just moves left and right. So we want to go ahead and we want to limit that movement. But before we do that, let's go ahead and go to the other cleats. So we're going to constrain this, click on the top of this cleat, bottom of this seat, apply. Let's go ahead and click on this and click on this, and then there you go, apply. Once more, all that happens is it just moves left and right. Okay, so for this one, what we want to do is probably want to go ahead and go to our seat and probably create a mid-plane right here in the middle of the seat. So let's go open up our seat part, go to mid-plane between two planes. I'm going to click on this one, click on this face here. I'm going to do the same thing for the cleats. I'm going to go to mid-plane between two planes, click on this face, click on this face. Now when I go to the assembly, notice how I just gotta do is just line up these two planes together, go to constraint, click on this planes, and then make sure they're in the middle, apply. The same thing for the other side. Oops. So there you go. Click on this plane, click on this plane, apply. And then all we have to do now is go ahead and go to all these parts here and hide all these planes. So right click and then just turn off the visibility of them. We don't want to delete them because deleting them is going to remove the constraint we created. So we have to go ahead and just go in, just turn off the visibility of all these. Let's see, distinct supports. And so once you do that, there's your finished assembly. There's your picking table. There's your braces. There's your cleats. Nothing moves. Everything is perfectly aligned. And that's how you constrain this picnic table. If you have any questions, comment down below and I will answer those as soon as possible. Thank you for watching.